winning jockey Junior Alvarado, and of course Hall of Fame trainer Belmont. Michael, would you like to say a couple of words about this race and what it means to Godolphin? Second Belmont Stakes win for the team, and of course Sovereignty and his campaign so far this year.
Yeah, it was a wonderful performance by the horse today, and he's came into the race in such great shape, similar to what he did coming into the Derby as well. So, showed a lot more speed today and got Junior up into a great position and gave him more traction where he could go and what he wanted to do with him. So I think, he's shown what a great horse he is. Journalism obviously is an exceptional horse, a Preakness winner, and to run him down today again after doing it in the Derby as well just shows you how good a horse he is, and we're so happy that he's a horse that we have in our stable. And a big thank you to Belmont and his team, teeing him up in such great condition for the Belmont today, and a wonderful ride again from Junior. And we'll just enjoy the moment, and it was very special.
Definitely. Junior, can you take us through the trip?
Yeah, he broke very well today again, like he's been doing it lately, and I mean, he just put himself in a good spot. I was a little shocked how close, but how easily at the same time he was doing everything. And as a jockey, I was just very happy the way where I was. I was very forwardly placed. I was close to. I was able to see where everybody were. I saw journalism on the outside. I got to see Rodriguez right in front. I got to see Johnny. So I have eyes everywhere at that point. And like I said, and I didn't have too much ground since I was close to the pace. He was just very, very ready today. And right when we turned him for home, I put him in the clear, giving the cue to go, and I mean, he just was sensational today. Journalism, run a great race again. Horse who runs the Kentucky Derby in the Preakness, come back today. Give it a lot of credit for doing that, and he shows up. He's a very tough horse too. But today was Sovereignty Day again.
Definitely. Bill, can you tell us about the race from your perspective? And it seems like the plan came together today with Sovereignty pointing for this race specifically.
It did. This is home. It's where the race we were pointing for after the Derby, and fortunately it worked out very well. I'm sure we would have, taken some criticism had he gotten beat today and we hadn't run in the Preakness, but it worked out. The horse was good. Junior rode him well. He had a lot of confidence in him, and when he cut him loose, the horse responded and got the job done, and I feel we beat, a good field of horses. I believe journalism is really a good horse. I've watched him here this last week, and I've looked at him, and he's in good form. He looks great. His hair is good, and his weight is good, and I think he was ready to run today, and he ran a good race, and Sovereignty was good enough to run him down and get the job done.
Definitely. We'll open it up to questions now, one at a time, please. Dave?
Junior, could you just talk a little bit about when you let journalism sort of go, and then so that you could tip out how much horse you had and how confident you were that you were able to do that?
Yeah, it was almost pretty much like in the Derby. Once I got the chance to put it right behind journalism, just to make sure he has a target turning from home. I know he likes to fight and he likes to see what he's supposed to do. That's what I did. Turn for home, make sure I follow him a little bit, then put him in the clear again, and just like he did in the Derby, he just went by it again, and I mean, today he was just very exceptional today. Like I said, I couldn't believe how much horse I have the whole way around today.
For Michael and Bill, is this somewhat bittersweet for you that you could have won a Triple Crown if you entered all three legs? Just how do you view that broadly there?
Well, I personally feel that it's fantastic to win 2 legs of the Triple Crown, to win the Derby, come back and win the Belmont. We're very, very happy with doing that. That was the plan after the Derby, and it teed it up for a really good race for the Derby winner and the Preakness winner to come together and have a showdown here in the Belmont. And who knows what would have happened, but we can't, that's water under the bridge. We can't dwell on that. All we can do is focus on our own horse and what we thought was the right thing to do. And we made that decision a few days after the Derby, and I think with the performance we saw today, I feel it was justified coming here and having 5 weeks off, and the horse showed it himself today. With the performance he put up, he was as Junior said, it was a spectacular performance.
Two questions, one for Michael, one for Bill. Michael, I know you've talked about this a lot, but can you take us through the decision to not run in the Preakness? I know the American Classics are so important to Godolphin. Why was this race more significant to you than winning that one?
Well, I think if you leave the races out of it, it was what was the right thing to do for the horse. And that is what we talked about, what's the right thing to do for the horse going forward. And he ran a hard race in the Kentucky Derby. He only just got his season started in the Fountain of Youth and only had 4 weeks to the Florida Derby. Ran another big race in there, and we saw how well he did in the 5 weeks from the Florida Derby to the Kentucky Derby. And we felt another 5 weeks between the Kentucky Derby and the Belmont was the right way to go for the horse. We're looking at trying to have a horse for the whole year and have a career with him as well. And there's races down the road that we'd really like to win. The Travers is a very special race, and we've won it before. I don't think Bill has won it before, and it'd be great for him to do that. You know, maybe if the horse is healthy and well, to try and get to Del Mar for the Breeders' Cup. It's a race that we've run in several times. We've not had an opportunity to win it yet, and there are some races that we'd really like to try and win as well.
And Bill, I know Sovereignty obviously showed you that he can handle an off track. The track here was fast by post time, but as you watched the weather yesterday and this morning, do you have any concerns?
I wasn't worried about the racetrack. I was pretty confident that whatever way it came up, you know, he'd be able to handle it. And I know, you know, I knew even with all the rain that we had that Glenn and his crew here at NYRA were going to have the track in fantastic shape, and they did. They had it in fantastic shape all day, and it rained all morning and all last night. And I mean, it's been, you know, we've been hampered with, you know, some rain at the wrong times. Naturally, we need rain, but you know, I don't think we were looking for it right on top of the race. But I'm glad that it, you know, it got in good shape, and everybody, I think everybody probably had a fair run, and they no complaints about the racetrack at all.
Talk about the pre-race instructions or any conversations you had with Junior, and did the race play out as you envisioned?
Not really. I mean, we all looked at the form, and we you know, guessed who may be the 2 speed horses or the 3 speed horses, or, you know, horses that might have pace in the race, and then you just let the gates open and see how it unfolds from there. I mean, you can never, you know, you look at the race on paper, but they don't run the race on paper, so it always changes a little bit. And I think we were, I would say that I was maybe a little bit surprised that Sovereignty had taken him up as close to the pace as he did today, and I'm guessing that maybe Junior was slightly surprised, but maybe pleased that he put him in that position today. But you know, you know, I don't try to give too many instructions. I tell them when they come back, if they rode them poorly, I'll let them know that. But you know, you shouldn't draw a map. It's you know, when they're riding races, it should be instinctive. It's not even anything that they should really have to dwell on and think about. I mean, it should be a reaction that happens in the fraction of a second, and so you can't tell somebody how to do that. They've got to learn that. They've got to have that feel. They've got to have the ability, and they've got to have the instinct.
Junior, your second class at win this year with this team. Can you talk about that feeling?
You know, it's been very special. You know, I've been in a very good ride with Mr. Mott and Team Godolphins and Scottish Wish and many other horses behind. But it's just been surreal. You know, it's been an amazing story from Scottish Wish, like I said, until my first Kentucky Derby, my first Belmont stake. It just, I don't think it gets better than this. You know, I've been enjoying every minute of it, and like I say, I'm just glad to be part of this big team that, you know, we've been working for so many years trying to be in this position, and, you know, today we did it again.
Thank you.
The connections of Ridge Strike took the same path a couple years ago. Derby, they skipped the Preakness, and they ran the Belmont Stakes. How much of a harbinger will this be for other trainers and owners moving forward, do you think?
I'm not really too sure if it will be or not. We saw journalism go through 3 races and turned up today and ran an exceptional race again. So I think that's up to the individuals and what they feel is the right thing to do for their horse. And I know the people that are involved with journalism obviously felt that was the right direction to go with their horse, and they were rewarded with winning the classic race in the Preakness. So I take my hat off them for doing that. And it's happened before, and it'll happen again. And there'll be some horses that'll turn up and in the Triple Crown and do that again. And we saw Justifying American Pharaoh do that, and there was a long gap in the years before that. But there's probably been multiple times where there were photo finishes down in that 20-year period that horses didn't win the Triple Crown that could have won it. So look, who knows? That'll be decisions that whoever wins in the future will have to make.
Bill, you mentioned the criticism that you could have received had you not gotten this result. Is there a level of vindication in this win?
No, I think it's just a matter of the Godolphin team and myself together made a decision, and we make a decision, we try to go with the plan, and if it works out, it's good, and if it doesn't work out, we look forward. And that's the great thing about them. I mean, they naturally, everybody wants to make as many good decisions and make as many good plans as you possibly can, but when you make a mistake, it's always good if you're not then second guessed. I think you've got to be, man enough to stand up to the decision that you made, and then if it's wrong, you bite the bullet. And in this case, I don't think it was wrong. I think it was the right thing. I'm happy with having a Derby and a Belmont, and maybe a future to look forward to. I'd love to, come back and take a crack at the Travers in August. I mean, it's a race that I've never won, but I think it's a very important race for a 3-year-old like Sovereignty, and I think if he's healthy, I think everybody would probably be in agreement that that's a race that we would point to.
Junior, when you were talking to Maggie on the track after the race, you said something really moving about what the last few years have been like for you, and you were sort of even in doubt in your career, and how meaningful this is to you. Can you just tell us a little bit more about that, please?
Yes, it was probably maybe around a little before COVID and between COVID. I think I got two bad spill, having concussions, and for some reason I came back, and I think things was going a little hard, and I wasn't taking it well, and I think it was more mentally that I felt that I just wasn't doing it. I wasn't going anywhere. I was working every morning, and just taking off some horses and things like this that happen all the time, and like I said, I just keep seeing all my dreams about winning a Derby, winning big races kind of fading away a little bit right there, but that's what the sport does to you. You keep grinding in, and I have an amazing family who keep helping me to push through things like this. Mr. Mott, the big support he has given me through the years and my tough moments, it kept me going, and here I am. I just very blessed with the people that I've been around, the people that are around me, and my family for sure too.
Gentlemen, congratulations. That concludes this year's press conference for the 157th running of the Belmont Stakes, presented by NYRA Bets. Congratulations to the Godolphin, Junior Alvarado, and of course, Hall of Fame trainer Bill Mott.
Man.
Thank you.
He's the man.
He's the man.
I'm just a passenger.
Yeah.